everybody, I'm Jude Creamer with HomeSmart, and today I'm interviewing a roofing specialist. Melissa McLin with Blue Collar Roofing is in the Sarasota and Bradenton area, and she helps people in so many different ways, and it's going to become apparent in a few minutes when she answers the questions that I'm going to ask her, but I'm just going to ask her a whole variety of questions about roofing and how it relates to real estate, and I hope you're able to learn something. Welcome, Melissa. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to help spread the word and help your clients with all their roofing needs.
Yeah, I know you've got so much knowledge to share with us, so let's just dig into it. I want to start with asking you a very simple question. Is Melissa, for homeowners in Manatee and Sarasota counties, what makes roofing here different from other parts of the country?
So one of the biggest differences here in Manatee, Sarasota County is we are in a hurricane zone, which means we have wind-driven events here often, which would be quite different than if you were up in the Northeast or out in Colorado where you would experience snow and hail. We experience wind and rain. So our roofing systems are put on a little bit different to take that impact. So we have very strict building codes here in Florida that we have to follow. Permits are required, and so is hiring licensed contractors. A lot of states, surprisingly, you don't have to have a license to do roofing, Tennessee being one of them. Anyone and everyone can just say, I'm a roofer, and go put a roof on in Tennessee.
Oh, goodness. Wow. So what should buyers and sellers immediately pay attention to when it comes to a roof in Florida?
So one of the most common things to look for when you're buying a house or looking at a house in Florida is the roof age. If the roof is older than 10, 15 years old shingle, then the insurance may be hard to get coverage for. Another thing to consider is maybe looking for houses that already have metal roofs on them. That way you don't have to think about replacing a roof within the next 20, 30 years.
Oh, that's great advice. And a lot of people don't realize that their roofs can actually save them money on insurance. So can you explain how insurance credits work?
So a lot of people don't realize that their roof can actually save them money with their insurance. When you get a new roof, your insurance should go down significantly because with every new roof, we include what's called a wind mitigation report. The wind mitigation comes from a licensed home inspector. That's what your insurance carrier wants to see in order to give you those discounts. It'll indicate if you have the third nail, hurricane straps, hurricane clips, or if you change materials altogether, for example, going from 3-tab to architectural shingle or from shingle to metal. A metal roof with hurricane clips or straps and the third nail will give you the best discount on your insurance.
Oh, that's good specific information. But how can someone find out if they're leaving money on the table with their current roof?
So the number one thing is to make sure you get a wind mitigation report. And if you have a conversation with your agent and say, is there anything I can do for my roof to get a discount on my insurance? And they will tell you, oh, you can go in and add the third nail. The third nail can be added after the roof is installed, but it's ideal to have it done while the roof is being replaced because it'll cost you a lot more money to have it added on later versus added on whenever you're doing the roof replacement. And then that alone, for us, the third nail, I want to say is about $1,500 to $3,000 during the process, but will save you approximately $1,000 a year on your insurance, depending on location. There's a lot of variables, but what we've seen is once you add that third nail, your insurance can go down up to $1,000 a year.
Wow, that's tremendous. Yeah, it's nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah, and then
So
another discount I forgot to mention is the secondary water barrier discount. And what that is, peel and stick. So the older roofs, they would use a synthetic felt paper in between the wood and the shingle. Now we only install peel and stick, which is your secondary water barrier credit. If for some reason the roof already has that peel and stick applied to the deck, we'll do 2 sheets of the synthetic to continue that secondary water barrier discount.
So I was going to ask you, how can Blue Collar Roofing help owners get ahead of all their hurricane preparedness and saving money and everything like that? But you went ahead and answered that already. Now, I'm I'm aware of public adjusters and insurance, but I'm not quite, I don't understand it completely. And I'm sure there's a lot of confusion out there in the marketplace about it, but what do they actually do?
So, a public adjuster will help homeowners in the event that their initial claim was denied. For example, we get a hurricane that comes here, your home gets damaged, you submit that information to your insurance, they send out their own adjuster, they determine, oh, no, you don't have enough damage to qualify a payout, but you know that your home is damaged. So, what a public adjuster does is they come and they help homeowners document damage, citing codes, citing Florida state statutes. They pretty much do the legwork. And the way they get paid is they get a percentage of your claim. So if for some reason your home, you got $60,000 worth of damage, your deductible for a hurricane event is 2% of the value of your house. They'll take and deduct your hurricane deductible from that 60,000 and we'll write you a check. That public adjuster is going to get a percentage. It could be anywhere from 3 to 10%, depending on what you agreed to with them. And I believe that hurricanes, when there is a hurricane, the state of Florida says public adjusters flat rate 5%. That way they can't just go to the max, but it's totally different, like a fire situation versus a flood versus a natural disaster. Acts of God, the state of Florida comes in and protects homeowners from those high prices, like what do they call it, gouging?
Yep, that's the
Yeah.
word.
The state of Florida kind of protects homeowners from gougers coming in. Now, there's other situations where roofers try to act as public adjusters. That is illegal for them to do so. They're not allowed to say, I'm going to file a claim on your behalf. I'm going to open the claim for you. I'm going to work the claim for you. Because what happens is they're acting as public adjusters. They are not public adjusters, they're roofers. They need to stay in their lane. That's what their license is for. But there is roofing companies who act as if they're public adjusters, but what they really do is get an attorney involved, and that fee goes from 5 to 10% to 30% of your claim. So stay away from any roofer that will say, I will do this for you, I'll act on your behalf. If you want help, call a public adjuster. That's what they're licensed for.
That is great advice. This stuff I didn't know. So if one of my clients were to call me after some storm damage, what's the first step you'd recommend that they take?
First step is you call your agent. Whoever your insurance agent is, you call them first because they can help you to a point. They can help navigate conversations with the carriers. They can help open the claims on your behalf. And then if the insurance doesn't do right by you, that's when you call a public adjuster. When you call a public adjuster, your agent can't help you anymore. They get cut out of the whole conversation. So start with your agent first. They let them take you as far as they can take you. If you have water coming in your home, obviously you're going to want to call emergency services. You're going to want to call, if it's the roof, you're going to want to call us to tarp the roof. Or if it's flood, you're going to want to call somebody to come dry out your house because you are responsible for making sure the property doesn't get more damaged along the way, because if not, they're going to call it neglect. If you don't call in the right people right away, and for example, we are cash pay only for tarps. So people write us checks for $500 to $700. Then they submit a claim to their insurance. And if they have that coverage, then they'll get a check reimbursed back. And we put the correct verbiage on our invoice that we did mitigation. We stopped the water coming in. So that's very important, just to follow this correct steps. Start with your insurance agent, let them talk to your carrier, have the carrier do what they can do. If they don't serve you well, then you bring in the public adjuster. Then if the public adjuster doesn't get anywhere, then that's when it's time to maybe think about hiring an attorney. But usually a good public adjuster will take care of you because they know the codes, they know the rules, they know the laws, they cite the statutes, and they do their job.
It's great to know. And I love to see that you, as a head of a roofing company, know all these variables that affect how a client is how they work with their insurance company and what they can do. And I love the way you summarized it. And I didn't give you an opportunity at the beginning of this interview to tell me about you and Blue Collar as a whole. And can you give us just a brief summary of what you're all about and how long you've been in business and things like that?
Absolutely. My husband and I started this business in 2022. He is a third generation roofer. He is the first one of his family, though, to launch his own business. So, him and I came together. We started this business right after Hurricane Ian had happened. He was working for another local roofer here in town. And he realized at that point, now is my time, get my license, start building a business that we're proud of. We live by our core values, and a couple of them are neighbors, not numbers, meaning we care way more about our neighbors and our community than we do about our sales numbers. If you don't need a new roof, we're not going to sell you one. And if you need a new roof, we're going to show you and explain to you why you need a new roof so that you can have that peace of mind that we're not just trying to sell you a roof. That's you. Whenever you need one, hopefully we'll still be there to serve you. That's the number one core value that we live by. Another one that we live by is results, no excuses. So if we give you a timeline for your project, we are doing our hardest to meet that timeline. Even if there's hurdles, we're going to go above and beyond to make sure that you get the results that we promised without any excuses on our end. And that starts at the top from when you talk to our roofing specialist all the way down to our guy that's picking up the last piece of trash. If for some reason we miss a piece of trash, our guys will be back there the next morning to double check your whole perimeter.
I can say I haven't had a new roof put on this house, but I did have you guys come out and take a look at the condition of it. I think it's about 7 years old now. And that brings me to asking you how important are annual roof inspections here in Florida?
So one of the annual roof inspections is super important because one thing that the insurance loves to say after a storm is pre-existing damage. So if you have annual roof inspections done and documentation, which we do document every single element of our inspections, we take photos of the condition of your roof, the conditions of your flashings, the conditions of your overall home from the top. So you'll get some drone photos if possible, you'll get up close photos, but what that does is it documents the status of your roof prior to any storm that may come through, whether it be a tropical storm or a full-on category 4 hurricane. That way the pre-existing terminology cannot be used against you because you have documentation that a roofer was at your house and you have a proof of roof of what it looked like before hurricane season.
It sounds pretty logical and basic to me. What do you charge for those annual inspections here in Florida?
So a regular inspection we don't charge for. Full documentation, I want to say it's around $300 where we put together a whole proof of roof report. And that's only because my roofing specialist has to go out, take all the photos, and then come back to the office and spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours putting them in a document for you to have. Otherwise, we'll give you the company CAM link at no cost. But some insurance companies, they'll get that nasty gram where it says, hey, you need a new roof. We'll come out and we'll do what's called proof of roof. And that is when we'll charge for that report. So you can submit it to your insurance company. But you got to think that's going to save you quite a bit because we're saying, hey, no, this roof has 3 to 5 years left. You don't have to buy a roof today. You can wait 3 to 5 years. And then that usually subsides the insurance company from saying you need a new roof.
There's a dance that goes on between homeowners and insurance agents or insurers and roofers and all the contractors. And if you don't know the steps, you're going to trip over yourself, so to speak. But so would you recommend that sellers get an inspection done before listing to avoid surprises during the due diligence period?
100%. So one thing that we offer is pre-listing inspections. And what that does is it allows for the seller to fix any minor issues before we get to the offer inspection period. Because what happens is if you don't and you skip that and then they find a couple broken tile or a few missing shingle or a couple little things that we could have fixed up for $700 or $800 in the front end, now it's a bargaining chip for them and they're going to use it and try and get $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 because, oh, it needs a new roof, it's missing tile, it's missing shingles, it's broken. So it's best whenever you're selling your home to get a pre-listing inspection done from potentially a licensed home inspector because they can point out everything and then they can say, hey, we'll call Blue Collar Roofing, call this electrician, and you can invest a little bit in the front end to make way more money when you sell your home because there's nothing to negotiate if it's all fixed.
So if I'm representing the buyer, Are there certain questions I should be asking about the roof before we even get to the inspection?
Yeah, absolutely. I would ask for how old it is, if it's under warranty, if the warranty is transferable. Like, for example, we offer a 5-year warranty and we'll transfer it no charge if we know that it's part of a real estate transaction. So, if the seller is selling and they're getting the roof because they know they need it to get insurance, if they tell us ahead of time, hey, I'm doing this roof because I'm selling, we'll transfer that warranty to the new homeowner at no cost. If they do the roof 2 to 3 years ahead of time and then they sell the house, we'll transfer the roof for a one-time fee of $450. That way they get those couple years of warranty left on the craftsmanship and the material.
Sounds good. So what's one thing you wish every real estate agent knew about roofs?
Ooh, that's a
Oh, I'm
hard one.
stumping you on this one.
Yeah, honestly, I wish that every listing agent would get a pre-listing inspection because, like I said, we can fix minor things ahead of time and then they don't have the roof to negotiate with on the back end.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. I was going to ask you what sets Blue Collar Roofing apart from other roofing companies in Manatee and Sarasota counties, but I think you've already gone over that. Did you want to add anything on that one?
I think one of the biggest things is I'm a lifelong resident of Manatee County. I really care about our community and the people that live here and making sure that insurance fraud doesn't happen in my community. That's why I'm so loud and vocal about when to file a claim, when not to file a claim, because as more claims get paid out, the higher the rates will be. And then, like, I think of my grandmother who worked so hard her whole life that if she can't afford insurance, she may have to move back to Ohio. Then my best friend's father, who's the longest serving lifeguard of Manatee County, he worked really hard to pay off his house. If his insurance goes up above his means, then he either will live in an uninsured home or he'll sell his home and have to move to another state. And he worked in Manatee County for 35 years, protecting and serving. There's other scenarios like that, but the number one thing is don't take advantage of the insurance. If you're missing a few shingles, just get a repair. If you need a new roof, that's wonderful. File your claim, do what you got to do. But if somebody knocks on your door and says, oh, you got a few shingles missing, I can get that covered by your insurance, think of the long term. Think of how it's going to affect all of your neighbors.
That's good advice.
I'd really try to educate people on that.
You've done a great job in this interview, so I'm going to ask what's the best way for homeowners to get in touch or with you or schedule an inspection?
So if you want the honest truth about your roof, 941-933-ROOF, 7663.
All right. And we will put that at the end of this video as well. And Melissa, this has been educational for me. I ask a lot of questions about roofs when I'm helping buyers buy and sellers sell. But this has been very informative to me as well. And I took some tidbits away from it also. So thank you for being here with me and educating my audience. And I look forward to recommending you to my future clients as well.
Thank you so much, Jude. I'm so happy that you chose me out of all the roofers in the area to be part of your program.
Well, I believe in you guys. You guys do a great job and you have a lot of integrity and are looking at the big picture well and properly. So why wouldn't I support that?
Thank you so much.
Well,